Robert Crowe. We're continuing the interview we started on the first tape. Okay, Bob, you were talking about Birch's Garden and how you got moved back to France with your unit. So what happened in France?
Well, we were told we were going to train to go through the Suez Canal to the Orient and jump Tokyo. That was our next objective, was to jump Tokyo. But who was president after Roosevelt?
Truman.
Truman decided he wanted the Japanese people to know how what they had done at Pearl Harbor. And the A-bomb was brand new, right out of it was brand new, the A-bomb was. And so he dropped an A-bomb on some little town in
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, he dumped one in there, and that got their attention. And then a few days later, he dropped a second one in another little town, and the Japs decided they had had enough, so they quit. So then it was just a case of, there was a hell of a lot of troops in Europe, a hell of a lot of American troops in Europe, and all we had to do was bide time and wait for transportation stateside.
So do you remember when you got home and where you arrived?
Yeah, we left Le Havre, France, and I think we were on the Atlantic Ocean on New Year's, and got stateside about the 2nd or 3rd of January, and they didn't waste any time getting rid of us. By the middle of January, I was discharged.
And you went back to Pennsylvania?
Well, that was in Pennsylvania. I was in Pennsylvania there. I got discharged at the same place I went into service from, which was New Cumberland. Was that it? Well, anyway, and I was at the same place when I got discharged as I was when I went into service, and I went back to Elwood City.
So.
And I'd heard about smoke jumping.
Oh, okay.
I read about smoke jumping in a book or magazine or in something in France. And I thought, that sounds like interesting work. So I checked around every place I could think of in the Pittsburgh area, and nobody knew a damn thing about smoke jumping. So I finally wrote a letter to the U.S. Forest Service at Missoula, Montana, and told them gave them an idea of what I had been through, and I was interested in smoke jumping. Return mail. I got an application for employment. I filled it out and sent it in. Return mail. Report for work on the 9th day of May, 1946. So I did.
Now, how many jumps did you have by then? How many parachute jumps do you think? Before you reported for duty?
Let's see. I had quite a few. The colonel of the 501 at that time, he was killed in Holland, but he liked to jump, and anybody that wanted to jump could jump when he jumped. I must have had 12 or 15 jumps, I suppose, when I got out of the military.
How many of those were combat jumps?
One.
One?
I only jumped in, we jumped into Holland. What was the name of that?
Market Garden?
Market Garden, that was the jump, yeah, but what was the name of that area? I can't think of it. It was before the Ardennes before we got into Ardennes. It was between Normandy and Ardennes. Well, anyway, Market Garden was the name of the mission that we were on in that jump. And that was the jump I made, was Market Garden, yeah. I had forgotten that word, but you
Yeah.
brought it up and I remembered it.
You were trying to keep a bridge open, weren't you? Wasn't that what you were trying to do?
Well, a series of bridges. It was a river. Market Garden was a British operation, and there were 3 airborne divisions jumped on that. The 101st, the 82nd, and the British 6th. And the British 6th jumped at Arnhem, Belgium, I think. They jumped right into the middle of 3 Crowe divisions, and they got slaughtered. The rest of us got by with very easy, but the British caught hell on that one. And but anyway, that was, what the hell was the name of that
Well, we can come back to that one if you can remember it. So you got a return mail from Missoula saying, yeah, we'd like you to come to work for us. So how'd you get out there? How'd you get to Missoula?
on a bus. Took a bus out of Pittsburgh and got to Missoula and reported to work on the 9th of May.
Now, where was the base? Where'd you report? Where was that in 1946?
Well, in the Forest Service building in Missoula.
The one that looks like a post office right there on Broadway?
It's it's connected to the post office in
Yeah.
Missoula.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one in the next street over. The post office is on what? One street, and that building runs the whole block, and this is the next street. Next street, what direction would that be? That would be. I'm all mixed up on my direction.
But you reported there.
Yeah, that's where we all reported.
Were you all there at the same time? There were a whole bunch of you, or what?
There was a whole crew there, though. Everybody that you see what happened. During the war, they had used conscientious objectors to jump fire. And somewhere in the Forest Service, they didn't think it was very good reasoning to mix old vets with conscientious objectors. And so they fired, I think, all the conscientious objectors and hired the whole system of veterans, I guess.
Do you think that was a good idea?
Well, I can see the thinking there that it wouldn't be good to mix objectors and veterans maybe on the same crews and
Yeah.
get into differences of opinion and stuff. So I can see the logic in why they wanted to hire a whole new crew.
Yeah. So you trained that summer again? You went through a whole new training program? Well, I mean, what happened that summer? Did you have?
Well, it was a typical work summer.
Did you train again to be a parachutist?
Oh yeah, you had minimum jumps you had to make. I think you had to make 6 or 7. I think you had to make 6, 7. I think it was 7. 7 jumps to be qualified as a smoke jumper.
And did you have any problems?
No.
Do you remember anything about the training that comes to mind or sticks in your mind?
Well, I don't recall much of anything outstanding. It was a good time, and I met a lot of good friends at that time, and you know.
Yeah, so Have any fires that first summer?
Oh, yeah, we had, I don't know how many, but we had the usual number of fires.
Where'd you go? Do you remember where you jumped?
That first summer?
Yeah.
No, you know, the only jump that I really remember was in 1949. I was a squad leader at that time, and Bill Hellman was a squad leader. Bill was first on the squad leader jump list, and I was second. And I think it was a Thursday or a Friday night. His wife was coming, Hellman lived in his home was Kalispell. And his wife was going to be in Missoula that night, and so 5 o'clock, our normal work day at that time was 8 to 5. And come 5 o'clock, Bill took off to town. About 5:20 or 5:30, a fire call came in from Idaho. I can't remember the name of the place. But a fire call came in, and I took a squad of 8 guys and went to Idaho on a fire that night.
Were you in a what were you flying? What were you jumping out of? DC-3?
I don't know whether it was a DCC or Ford.
Yeah.
One or the other. Those are the only planes that would hold that many crew. And anyway, I went out on a fire Friday night, and Hellman got on the Mann Gulch fire the next day. He saved my life, or that fire saved my life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Because I normally would have been on. If Hellman had been there to take the fire the night before, I'd have been first on the jump list and would have been at Mann Gulch. But he left, and well, it was good for me.
Yeah. So when did you first find out about the Mann Gulch?
Oh, I don't think I heard about it. Well, I didn't hear about it until I got back to Missoula from Idaho. Where in the hell was that fire in Idaho? I just can't put a name on it, I guess. But anyway, I heard about Mann Gulch when I got back to Missoula, which was, I think, I don't know how many, we were over there I think maybe we were over there about a week.
So did you know a lot of the people that were killed at Mann Gulch?
Oh, I knew most all of them, yeah. I knew Hellman, of course, and